Good afternoon. My name is Justin, and I'd like to tell you about a time I was going through a dark highway in Missouri. I was in a Toyota Celica doing probably 85 miles an hour. I hit a turn rated for 35 miles an hour. As you might guess, that didn't work out so well. I realized I was in trouble when the back end of my car started sliding around towards the front end of my car. This is called an oversteer skid. And what I'm going to tell you today is what causes an oversteer skid, how to react to an oversteer skid, and how to prevent an oversteer skid. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines an oversteer skid as the tendency of a vehicle to take a sharper turn than the driver intended. What that means is the back end of the car is going to start sliding around towards the front end as it loses traction. There's a lot of causes for an oversteer skid. Road conditions can cause it, icy, wet. Excess speed will cause it. Excess throttle and excess braking will also cause it. In my case, it was excess speed. Way too much speed. Next, I want to tell you how to react to an oversteer skid. Whenever you enter the skid, a lot of things are going to happen in a very short amount of time, but don't panic. Your body is on your side. Dr. David Engelman with the University of Houston wrote in April 2010, Popular Science, that he's doing studies that show people can process and use more information in the same amount of time under stress situations than under normal situations. What this means is your body is going to use its adrenaline and enter the fight or flight, and you're going to be able to make decisions quicker. So, now that you've entered a skid, you need to, 1, not panic. 2, do not let go of the steering wheel. And 3, do not slam on the brakes. The steering wheel and brakes are going to be instinctual, but you have to resist. You will lose complete control of the vehicle at that time. Tim Smith, in his 2006 book, Crash Proof Your Kids, wrote that the best thing to do once you enter a skid is to, an oversteer skid is actually lightly apply throttle to shift weight over to the rear and regain traction on the rear tires. What I did in my situation was, since it was a manual transmission, I began downshifting, which caused the same thing to happen. I downshifted and caught traction. Now, while you're trying to regain traction, you need to watch where you're going as well. You need to look and see where your car's headed. If you're headed into traffic or something like that, you've got to try and not hit anything. And my options were a ravine and a forest whenever I entered my skid. So we steer into the skid. We've all heard it. But what do we do afterwards? You very rarely hear what to do after you steer into the skid. Tom Vanderbilt in his 2008 book Traffic lines out what we should do. Then the response after you regain control from an oversteer by steering into the skid, you need to unwind. What that means is begin turning the wheel in the opposite direction of how you turned into the skid. If you don't unwind, you're going to enter a secondary spin and have even fewer chances to get out. Now, that's all you can do, and try and regain control. Whenever I entered my skid, I caught a line, unwound, and rode through a ditch at 70 miles an hour, which is better than my alternatives. So now we need to discuss prevention. Practice is key. Driving safely, driving respectfully are good things at any situation, but for an oversteer, you want to take a car out to a wet or an icy parking lot, watch out for any light poles or anything like that, and practice. Learn what your car does to start the skid and learn how to pull it out. And keep in mind that it doesn't transfer to all vehicles. You have to practice in a truck and in a car separately. What I've told you today is what an oversteer skid is, how to react to an oversteer, and how to prevent it. It's something that we all can use with the coming winter months to be prepared for those icy roads. Thank you very much.